Hey guys, welcome to the podcast today. Sitting down with Sage from Colorado. This guy is a strength and conditioning specialist, and Josh and I from ElkShape Training hired him, and that's cool for me to say. I'm smiling because we needed the help, and most importantly, we needed the right help. So, Sage, what's your last name?
Gardner.
Welcome to the Spokane.
Thank you. First time.
Yeah, sounds like Southwest treated you real well today.
Yeah, they sent my bow to Sacramento. It's great. It's not here.
Great. We fly him in for one day to do a bunch of stuff, and the one thing they screwed up is your bow.
Yep.
And the first thing I asked you, I was like, did you lock your own bow, like put your own lock on your bow case? And you said,
I put TSA locks.
exactly.
Yep.
Which is perfect. And you tell them it's not a firearm, it's a bow.
Got asked that a lot.
And it's like, done deal. And then like a direct flight from Denver to Spokane International.
Yes,
They
sir.
still messed it up.
Yep.
Good job, Southwest. Are they charging for bags now?
They're not charging bags yet. No.
Yet.
Didn't get charged.
Yeah. Was there anywhere to charge your phone on the airplane?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
That's new for
Yeah.
Southwest.
I had one flight when we took a trip recently that you could charge, and the rest of them were no charge.
Really?
Yeah.
Who'd you fly with to
It
New York?
was Southwest too, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're a rookie elk hunter.
Yes, sir. First year.
Are you excited?
I'm unbelievably excited.
Did you already get your time off?
Yep. Time's off. It's settled. We're good to go there.
Done deal? Boss
Yep.
man knows?
Yep.
Okay. Did you ask Josh Crawford for time off?
Hey, Josh, can I have time off?
Absolutely.
No, we're kind of that's not our strength is,
No.
well, we're going to give you as much time as you need for elk hunting.
Yeah.
Say the word. I imagine you're hunting your home state of Colorado?
Hunting home state of Colorado. Yep. Got some good buddies that have been hunting for a few years and some mentors that have been hunting for longer than I've been alive. So
Oh, so they're going to take you under their wing?
I think so.
It's really hard to elk hunt without a mentor. Really hard. Because you can only learn so much electronically
Mm-hmm.
or through reading or watching. And then you're there in real life and you have to like put the pieces of this puzzle together. The biggest piece to the entire puzzle is to not find elk sign, is to not find the coolest place to camp. It's to find where the elk are that day.
Right.
And if you can't glass that country and they're not vocalizing, it's pretty tough. Are you a guy that knows what unit you're already going to? If so, don't say the unit number. Don't say the unit.
I do know where I'm going.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you ever stepped foot in this unit?
I have for some hiking, but have not done a scouting trip there yet.
What does a scouting trip look like for a rookie elk hunter? What are you doing?
My game plan is just to go try to find access points, using like Onyx and stuff to look at it before I get there. And then I'm going to basically glass hillsides and try to locate where they might be moving, and then try to find some sign down in draws and stuff like that.
So you're going to drive around looking at access points, meaning locate trailheads
Yes, sir. Yep.
and look at where to park,
Mm-hmm.
already knowing kind of where they go via Onyx.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so learning the road systems is good.
Yeah.
Assuming there's some national forest roads.
Yep.
Okay.
Good forest roads.
Then glassing hillsides is not very productive if you're glassing 45 minutes after first light or leaving your glassing spot 45 minutes before last light.
Okay.
So getting there in the dark would be important.
Yep.
Do you know what, when I say the word Viewshed, does that mean anything to you?
Does not.
Okay. There's a guy who was here yesterday named Mark Livesey.
Okay.
He has a podcast or vodcast he does with Peaks. He hangs out a lot with Brian Call and Ryan Lampers. He's kind of part of their squad. He has llamas. He's turning 60 this fall. And he might be the smartest e-scouting guy I've ever met.
Wow.
To where like I can only digest so much of his knowledge, and I'm like, okay, I'm full. Like my cup overflow with, let me go try some of these things. I don't need, like, no more information, please. And we podcasted actually yesterday for 2.5 hours. my brain's so full, and I haven't had a chance to like implement the new things I learned. But just this conversation is running fresh in my mind. How are you going to know where to glass from if you don't go on Google Earth, tilt it in 3D with great imagery, and use the Viewshed tool in Google Earth that literally will show you what you can or cannot see to the exact science? There's no gray area. And have those marked up on your other screen. You'll have your OnX, and you can drop essentially a waypoint on Google Earth, get the longitude, latitude transferred over to OnX, drop that pen, and you can even on Google Earth figure out your route and your path of least resistance. Because I don't know if you knew this, Colorado's got beetle kill, tons of standing timber that's been burnt, downfall hell, and the elk love that stuff because you're not going to go mess with them in there.
Right.
So so before you go on your first scouting trip, you need to do a massive scouting trip in your underwear, in your home office, with 2 or 3 screens pulled up. Google Earth, the desktop version, not the web version. Okay. Mark has toolkits that he sells for like $40. I would totally buy at least a toolkit. His toolkit you can add to your My Places on Google Earth, and then you can quickly click these buttons, and it talks to his server that he is probably leasing from Amazon, and it works pretty fast. It's like you can all of a sudden put topo map shaded over Google Earth imagery.
Oh, wow.
You can control the transparency of that. You can do non-shaded. You can do 40 and 100-foot intervals on your lines for topography, which is really helpful to figuring out how steep something really is, because Google Earth by itself will lie to you. You'll be like, I'm fit. I'll just zip right up over here and go there. And then you get there in real life and you realize you'll do a fraction of what you thought you could do in the home office. I say that from experience.
I learned that one turkey hunting this year.
Okay, even turkey hunting. Google Earth will lie to you. But you got to have OnX pulled up because you're not bringing Google Earth with you into the field. You're bringing OnX.
Yep.
So you want to have that pulled up. There's ways to download KLM files from Google Earth and transfer those, upload those into not KMZ, but KML. And you can re-listen to this pod later and remember that. But you can transfer KLM files over. And then, dude, there's a flyover feature in Google Earth where you can literally mark how you want it to like be your own personal drone.
Yeah.
How fast you want it to fly. So you can fly the roads. You can fly trailheads, and you can have it go at certain speeds, at certain angles. There's no reason you shouldn't really know what you're doing when you're scouting. I was making fun of a guy on our podcast yesterday because great dude. He's a firefighter. He lives in Texas. He's going to know I'm talking about him now. And he's like, I drew 36 in New Mexico. Have you ever been in that unit? What should I do? And I was like, I've actually never stepped foot in 36. I have several friends who guide there and have been in there. And the bottom line is there's a buttload of elk. It's some good elk hunting. That's one of the better tags in New Mexico. He's like, awesome. I'm going there next month. I'm scouting. And I said the same thing. I'm like, well, what does a scouting trip look like to you? And he's like, oh man, I'm bringing like 10 trail cameras and I'm going to put them up over like 10 water holes. Okay. Like, unless you plan on hunting one of those 10 water holes, which he might, what does a picture of a bull in June really do for you? What does a picture of a bull July 4th in velvet do for you? Well, lets me know I'm there, lets me know my inventory. No, it doesn't. Especially in New Mexico. Those bulls will travel, I don't know. Some could go 20 miles as the crow flies to go to their rutting grounds. They'll be bachelored up until they're not bachelored up, typically when that couple of days before the velvet's going to come off, which is around my birthday, right? Like the second week in August, velvet starts getting itchy. Bulls start separating out. They go by themselves for a little while, kind of get their mind right, pull that velvet off. Their testicles start to drop a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Neck starts to get a little swole. Trees start getting rubbed. Might even start bugling a little bit more. And then we're just waiting for that light switch for when that bull decides to go scoop up the cows. And a lot of times the bull that decides to go scoop up the cows, I'm doing like a big lecture here,
I love it.
is going to be a young bull.
Yeah.
That 3.5-year-old who thinks, man, I finally got something to work with up here, my rack, and all the cows are together already. He's going to be like, what's up, ladies?
Right.
And he's going to run the show for like a day, a week, until homeboy shows up. And it won't even be a contest. Like, he won't even object. He'll just like, look, that bull might just bugle and rake a tree or display or just not even do anything, just walk towards him. He'll peace out. And then that bull has his herd. Thanks for getting these cows together for me.
Yeah, you grouped them up.
So I really think you should be in Colorado when it opens, which I believe is September 1st.
Yes, sir.
I know you didn't get September 1st off.
Nope.
Is September 1st a weekend? I don't know the answer to that right now.
I'm not sure off the top
Josh,
of my
look
head.
it up. What's September 1st?
Let's look at.
Because I know you already have your vacation plan second and third week, but there's got to be a weekend in there. I want to see, and it'll be Labor Day weekend. So you have like, it's Colorado. You have like hikers and bikers and Labor Day recreationists.
Yep.
I have a funny story about that. I'll tell you in a second.
September 1st is a Monday.
Monday. Good thing is my current boss and our work's pretty flexible. So those 2 weeks I can shift them around likely.
The hunting's not as good. The hunting's way better.
Okay.
It's a dichotomy.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear as many bugles. You're not going to see as many people. A lot of guys, like especially, I would say like the newer elk hunters will be jonesing to go.
Right.
The more veteran ones are going to be like, especially ones with limited time off, they'd rather have more bugling. They're going to wait for that second and third week, especially that third week in 2025, because it's the smallest moon on fall equinox, which is I think September 21st or right around there.
Yep.
My dad's birthday is 22nd. So Josh is going to fact check me, which is great. Young Jamie fact check me.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the darkest nights are right around peak rut.
Okay.
Peak rut should be September 2-1. September 2-2 should be fire.
Right.
I'm not a huge full moon conspiracy theorist, but if I'm hunting Arizona, New Mexico, I pay attention to moon phase. If I'm hunting Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, I'm not really paying attention to it as much.
Is there a particular reason why?
I just think it affects those desert bulls more.
Gotcha.
I don't know why.
Yeah, new moon is the 21st this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That is fall equinox.
Yeah.
Full moon is on the 7th.
Oh, no. The full moon. Great night to, hopefully it's a clear night and you can get up on a hillside and glass all night. Not joking. I mean, I don't know, full moons or whatever to me. It just means more daylight. It just means more day activity. It means more difficult to find the elk at first light. They might be already bedded, but it certainly means they're going to be a little more restless midday,
Right.
which happens to coincide with legal shooting hours.
That works.
So I'm here for it. I just got to find them. Anyways, I would, as in your situation, get your ass into that unit this summer after you e-scout it way more.
Yeah.
And come up with a plan to where to glass with Viewshed, what roads to check out that Google Earth couldn't really give you a good vibe on. Where is the most attractive, lowest hanging fruit when it comes to setting up an awesome elk camp, wall tent, ice cold beers on ice, cots, a fire, because you want to not be there.
Right.
You want to find like a terrible road with no pullouts, and you're going to have to like take your truck and kind of park it where it's just going to get dusted out and possibly broken into and just like, not really, but, and then there's just this giant creek river next to the road, and you got to like get in your underwear and walk across it with all your gear overhead, get to the other side, bushwhack through a half mile of downfall steep, and then pop out on a ridge system. And you'll have that place to
And there they
yourself.
are. Yep.
And then all the good elk hunters that listen to this podcast hate me because I'm just sitting here giving you good stuff.
Pouring into me.
But I'm just telling you, like the first week could be your best week. They have not been hunted. They will probably talk at some point, and you might get them to talk with just a simple location bugle, or even call in a giant herd bull which is almost impossible to do with basic cow and calf sounds. It's a lot of cold calling. It's a lot of finding good sign. You have to be a lot more patient, but I think it's a better odds to go there versus a week after they've been messed with.
Right.
The first thing I asked you when we weren't recording was how much private's in the unit. And you're like, not much, but there is some. I'm like, when are you going? You're like second, third week. I'm like, you got to head towards the private. Those elk are going to already try to spend their daylight hours on private because they've been messed with. So there's just some things to consider, but the biggest chink in your armor right now is your lack of e-scouting, which you have unlimited reps at home, and you're young, so you know how to use computers, double screen, Google Earth, Onyx, get the toolkit from Libsay. Oh, and I have a code. It's like, I think it's just ElkShape. It takes 20% off his $40 toolkit, and it would take you a year to make those toolkits on your own.
Right.
And there's a massive learning curve to all that stuff. So, Josh, you might be able to make one. You're pretty tech savvy.
It would still take a long time.
It would just take so much time and he's like extrapolated data from like spreadsheets to create, like he's got every road that's in, you just click a button and it shows you every road. It'll show you BLM, national, state, private, not ownership, not like Onyx, but at least you'll be able to see that on Google Earth, which you can tilt and has better definition.
Right.
And then you can slide back and forth on your imagery. So if you see a trailhead and you think it's like, okay, this is definitely a low-key, awesome trailhead, no one's going to use it. Well, why don't you check to see what the Google Earth says in September of 2024, in 23, in 22, in 21, in 20, and then take an average over the last 5 years. How many vehicles have been parked there when you're going to be there?
Right.
And you come up with, oh my gosh, there's an average of 30 trucks and trailers.
Yep.
It's probably not the best trail to go check. Or this awesome four-wheeler trail looks so good, and then you pull it up and you do the same thing. You scale back a couple of years, and every year the grass is smashed down from tire tracks, from ATVs. I don't think you want to go there. I think people overlook that they'll just figure it out when they get there.
Sure.
How much time do you really have to dedicate to the hunt?
I mean, if you take 2 weeks off, for me, driving there is going to be at least a day of driving.
Okay, so now you're down to 13 days.
13 days. If I'm working with buddies, I probably only get to hunt half the days, maybe a third, depending on how many are in the group.
Exactly. So let's say there's a group of 3. Do you think you get to be shooter every day?
Definitely not.
That's not very fair.
Sure.
What if one of your buddies wounds one and you guys spend 2 days helping him look for it and you guys never find it? There's 2 days burnt.
Yep.
Or what if he gets it and it's a pack out from hell?
Yep.
And I know you're in great shape, but what if it's like 10 miles back to the truck, everyone's smoked, you need to sleep in the next day. There's a half day burned. You're not getting back.
Yep.
I don't think people understand how finite elk hunting actually is in your life and in the season. You know what I mean? So looking at it from a perspective of time economy, you really ought to just have your hunt plans absolutely dialed, plans A through Z, have the entire unit doped in and figured out, sorted. I'm guilty of winging it, showing up there and winging it. And there's a price to pay for that.
Yeah.
And the price is typically one I'm willing to pay, but I don't know if it's good for my health. Like I won't sleep. People say that, but I don't mean that in jest. I mean, like I literally will not go to bed.
Yeah.
I will stay up all night hiking, bugling, driving, riding, whatever it takes to try to find an elk. You do that day after day, it starts to wear on you. Hunting pressure is another thing too.
Yeah.
Like you haven't ran into a group of hunters yet.
Nope. That
will tell you we've hunted here for 20 years. It's always 20.
Yeah.
It's always 20.
Always 20.
It's not like, hey man, we've been hunting here for 3 years.
Right.
They'll never say that. It's always 20. And so you gotta have to figure out how to be like diplomatic. You might not have to be diplomatic. You might be able to just be firm and be like, cool, tell me what your plan is. I'll adjust mine because I'm nice.
Yeah.
Or it'll be, I mean, it should be kosher for the most part, but you'll run guys like, yeah, our plan is we're hunting all of this, which is like always way more country than they could ever hunt. But they just want you out of there for a reason. And guys listening, don't be that guy. You know, don't be that guy who's possessive over land that you certainly don't own. We all own. And you have to share. And I used to be a punk in my early days, like 2001 to 2010. I probably have a bad reputation in some areas in Idaho just because I didn't give a shit. Like, I wouldn't say I want to fight people on the mountain, but like I just didn't I didn't really care what they were doing. Like I wanted to do what I was going to do, and I didn't think that their success would get in the way of mine, which is still a good mindset to say your success, Sage, will not get in the way of my success. But there is an asterisk. What is your plan? You go first. Tell me your plan. And at least if you give me a plan, I'm surely going to stay the hell out of your way.
Right.
But if your plan under my asterisk is like, well, I'm hunting this entire 6-mile drainage and this other one adjacent and the backside, so piss off. I'm not pissing off. I'll be like, okay, cool. Well, I'm in way better shape than you. I'm younger than you. I want it more than you. See you when I see you, you know?
Yep.
So there's always that stuff that doesn't get talked about enough. But I just wanted to take the first part of the pod to talk elk hunting with a brand new elk hunter because I know it will help others. But Josh, you have hunted and ran into many hunters when you have hunted North Idaho. You started hunting Southern Idaho, which is complete contrast to Northern Idaho. Did you have any negative run-ins in Northern Idaho in your short couple years up there?
I ran into a lot of hunters, and the majority were good outcomes. Majority hunters are really good. I definitely ran into some that were possessive, that would lie to you about what land they owned. They thought they owned it, or they would lie to you about the regulations. So knowing exactly where you can and can't hunt is really important too, because if you're new, especially, you don't want to do the wrong thing. You second guess where you're at, especially if somebody's very confident and they're lying to you about where you're not supposed to be. But it's just, yeah, I definitely have run into that where people try to intimidate you off of public land and with lies or whatever. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah, you're right. Like, and they're convincing. They have conviction.
Mm-hmm.
They sound confident.
Yeah.
They're doing that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get in here? You know, this is private land, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, however they'll say it, like they'll ask those open-ended questions. Interesting. What about down in Southern Idaho where there's more swaths of public, less little strips of private? So what kind of interactions did you have the last few years hunting Southern Idaho, more like desert bulls?
It was more seeing people from a distance. I didn't run into anyone on the trail necessarily, but I did see a lot of hunters that were just cruising through timber patches or seeing them in the open areas, going through from timber patch to timber patch. It was more along the lines of they would kind of, especially if I was sitting glassing, they would bump elk going through some of those spots, but I didn't necessarily have any run-ins with anybody in particular.
The bumping of elk down there is pretty prevalent.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
it's almost like ping pong elk is what I believe they literally get ping ponged all day. It's crazy. You could be waiting for them in your ambush or pinch point, being super patient. And if you're in the right ambush spot, eventually they're going to run through it because they're going to get bumped by somebody. And obviously people don't hunt to go bump elk.
Yep.
But you'll be surprised when you see people that maybe don't play the wind or forget to check the wind or just don't know better.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see that. So don't be surprised. I've had guys last year from our base camp start my dirt bike up in the dark, get ready to go. You hop on, we start riding, and 4 dudes in a side-by-side, like one of those $50,000 ones, rip right past us and just dust us out. And this is a one-way national forest road, and it's going to dead end, and that's where everyone parks and gets off. And, like, I don't know what they're thinking of, like, passing us, and if we're going to just change our plan.
Right.
Maybe they
wanted you
thought
to turn around.
Maybe they thought that, but, like, we were getting ready. Like, we were literally on the road, and they rip right around us. And then at first I was like, I got a 2-stroke dirt bike. You're not going to pass me and get away with it. And then I realized that I don't even know how to say it. They were going so fast, man. I was like, I had to slow down. I was like, okay. And then eventually, by the time they got to the spot before us, I have my backpack ready to go. And so as soon as I park and put the kickstand down, there's nothing, like, my headlamp's on. I just have to take my helmet off, and I'm, like, ready to go. Their backpack's in the back seat, and they're, like, going through their stuff, and I'm parking. I'm, like, already gone. No words were spoken. I think had they not, like, ripped way past us, we could have chatted at the trailhead and, like, okay, where are you guys going? Because there's several different ways to go there. But that just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there that day? I think you were there that day. I don't know.
I don't remember anyone going past like that. No.
Oh, man, I
was
never
probably gone.
forget it because, like, he was, like, drifting around every corner.
No,
and if somebody had been coming down, like, he was hugging like, I was like, holy crap. I had to back off and, like, wait for the dust to settle and stuff. But what they ended up doing was, like, it was 4 of them. And I would say, like, 3 out of the 4 were, like, not in great shape. That doesn't mean anything, but, like, just 3 really big dudes. And they were taking forever to get all their stuff sorted. And so I was just like, it was dark, and I had my headlamp on. And so I just kind of saw the flash of their headlights that are still, like, messing around with their side-by-side. I didn't park right next to them. And so I was like, okay, well, I think they're going this way because they parked the machine closer to this trail. And I was like, I'm bushwhacking at an angle this way. So I didn't even talk to him. I just was like, gone. And this is on YouTube. So I'm gonna finish this story. It's compelling. I bushwhack down to the bottom, start side hilling up this pretty big ridge system. And I'm to the left of your old ambush spot, like in the timber. Yeah. And I top out, and I'm heading right over to the brush blind that I kind of made. And I get settled into that thing, and it's kind of it's about an hour hike, maybe a little less if you're walking fast. I'm trying not to get sweaty. And I got the thermals in my face, and I get set up, and I'm just hanging out glass, and it's pretty windy, and I can see their headlamps, and then I can see them, like, kind of stage, and they stage in the timber where a few days later I was staged. And you were right below me, and the herd bull came by, and I didn't get a shot. I got full draw. They staged right there. And this is on YouTube. You'll see this part, and you'll now know what I'm talking about. Yep. These dudes set up perfect right there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, at least they're ambush hunting. They're not walking around ping-ponging elk. This is very open country elk. And so I'm just waiting for the elk to come through my pinch point, and I'm between them and their feeding and their bedding. And I would say an hour and a half, 2 hours go by. The elk were late. Like, they made you second guess. Like, oh man, they must have bedded already in the dark. No, grass was green that morning, man. They stayed extra. They slept in. They were feeding late. I look up. There's 69 elk coming, nose to tail, and the big 340 bulls in the very back, and they're coming up over the top of the mountain, and they're angling. And on the video, I literally I use my mag view, and I'm filming, and I'm like, okay, you see where the elk are walking by right now? Those hunters were right there. They left. So they beat me up the mountain. Well, they passed me, beat me up the mountain, went to a really good ambush spot, which kudos to them. And then they got impatient and they left. And if you watch that video, it's like Public Land Hustle episode 2 in Idaho. You'll see that part where I'm like, dude, there was hunter right there. And I showed them on video of them all staged, and then I showed them elk walking right by the tree that they were staged at. So for whatever reason, they just like, I don't think they thought that elk were coming. And I almost didn't think the elk were coming, but they came eventually. So yeah, man, I think dealing with other people requires a certain level of respect. And when you realize that that guy is just like you, he's away from his family, he's away from his job, he's sacrificed a lot. He loves elk hunting like you do. He wants to have success. You start to realize you guys have more common ground, and there's a way to work together, or to at least sort out where you both have good options. So play nice. Yeah, play nice. As a mobile elk hunter, I'm changing locations quite often, especially on public land. Either I'm trying to find some elk or new elk, or I'm trying to just get into some good rutting action. And so changing locations, I don't want to set up and take down a camp if I move my truck almost every day. So Canvas Cutter is an awesome brand. It's a bedroll that rolls out in seconds. It's pretty dang waterproof. If it is really, really raining, you can slide it under your truck, but it takes 2 seconds to deploy. It's a really comfortable sleep on an awesome memory pad that just, you're going to get good sleep, and it's going to take seconds to set up, and you're going to maximize your recovery. Check out Canvas Cutter. Discount code ElkShape will take 10% off. They have a wall tent and a bunch of other accessories. I recommend the Dominator. So check that out. Enter the discount code ElkShape, save some loot, and get to being mobile, because elk are hard to find, and I want you to be into elk every day. This guy right here is bulletproof, like literally waterproof, and it can take all the destruction and terror that you provided in the backcountry. This is my battery bank from Dark Energy. Discount code ElkShape will save you some loot. I pack at least 2 of these everywhere I go. I can get 2 cell phone chargers out of this. I have to charge up DSLR cameras and action cameras. Dark Energy, this thing is awesome. It's bulletproof, and it's durable, and it's battle tested in the backcountry. Head over to Dark Energy, throw the discount code ElkShape, grab a couple, and get ready for the backcountry. Easton Archery, Easton, USA. I've been to the factory, and I've watched firsthand American materials with American labor. Easton makes great components, great archery tools, but my favorite Easton arrow is going to be the Easton 5.0 for Total Archery Challenge, Spot and Stock Antelope. And then my elk arrow is an X10 Parallel Pro, which is arguably my all-time favorite arrow. It has the greatest tolerances, and I love that it's made here in the States, and I don't think any other arrow manufacturer can say that. Well, I've talked enough. I want to know about you, Sage. So how old are you?
I am 24.
Are you married?
I am not married. I have a lovely girlfriend.
How long y'all been dating?
We've been dating for just over 3 months.
Oh.
Yeah, so fairly new.
Oh, that's really new.
Yep.
You guys still probably don't fart in front of each other and stuff like that. You're all polite.
No, not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. We started to learn each other very quickly.
That's important.
Really, I think our relationship is very based in faith, and so there's been a lot of.
Did you meet her at church or something?
She goes to my church. She is the best friend of my boss's wife, so they set us up.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Elaine Baisley, I thank you a lot. She said she had a feeling, and it's working out really well so far.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, when did you first fart in front of your wife? When did you get that out of the way?
I don't know. It's been a long time, Dan.
You don't remember?
No.
There was a time when you and Andrea were on your best behavior around each other.
That's been a long time ago.
And I love, if you work out with Josh, and Josh, I'm going to embarrass you a little, but if he squats really, really heavy, you might hear a little squeak.
True story.
I'm right there with him.
Good.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're squatting
You're
right.
working hard.
Yeah, you're working hard.
A lot of effort.
Yeah, so this is going to be your first elk season with a girlfriend.
Yep.
It won't be your last, because I'm giving you more advice. You need to have 2 elk seasons before you marry a girl.
All right.
So it is impossible for you to be married by this time next year, because you will have broken my rule of 2 elk seasons, not 1.
Is that in the contract?
Josh, explain why.
Yeah, you got to know what you're getting into before it happens. You know, you have to. It's preparing the future wife for what elk season is like.
You're setting a precedent.
Yeah.
And the first year, they'll be cool with it, even if it's 2 weeks.
It's the honeymoon phase.
What's that?
It's the honeymoon phase.
Yeah, but after that, they start to think like differently. Like, well, that could have been 2 weeks that we could have spent together doing this or that. And so the reason why I'm explaining this to you is it's very important that they understand that this is not a vacation. This is what makes you who you are, and you'll come out the other side a 10x version of Sage than when you went into it, because you'll get time alone to be with the Creator, to have some self-reflection, to have some honest looks into that closet. And there's always skeletons in there that you're not proud of. It's a good time to address it. And I have had better reflection time by myself in a shitty snowstorm or rainstorm in a small tent with nothing to hunt, and just my own thoughts and recollection on the decisions I've made. They're not all great decisions. She just needs to know that you need that time, and that's not taking away from you guys. That is actually making you better. And the only way to test that out is 2, not 1. Because they'll think after 1, oh, I can change that. I can change him. I can change that behavior. No, you can't. And you don't want to, because I'm coming out the other side a better, spouse or partner. And it's important.
Yeah.
Now, did I follow my own advice? No, I didn't. I dated my wife for 6 months, proposed, was married to her within another 6 months. But I will tell you, my first hunting season we were dating, I was gone 3 months because I worked in the outdoor industry as well as owning a gym. So I filmed hunts. I was gone Thanksgiving. I was gone all of September. I was all over. So she knew soon enough to be pretty independent. So was this girlfriend of yours independent?
Oh, she is. She's very independent. She's incredibly smart, really fit. She actually just completed a half Ironman this past weekend.
Legit.
She crushed it. PR'd her swim and bike on the race day.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah, she crushed it, and way smarter than me, and had incredible faith. She knows my church is in the woods too. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's cool. Josh, how long have you been married? Ish.
25.
Ish. Okay.
Yeah.
Quarter century. It's interesting. Like last year you hunted, I got to hunt with you a lot last year.
Yep.
Which is a treat. Tyler Denham was on that hunt. It was just like,
It was
we
good.
got best friends hunting. It was just awesome. And Tyler and Josh specifically, for some reason, put up with me. I'm pretty hard to be around, especially elk hunting, but like, what a treat to hunt with 2 of my best friends in Idaho, like sharing camp. And these guys are like both. I was laughing. I was like, you're introverted and quiet.
Yeah.
Tyler is as well.
Yeah.
And I'm actually introverted, just not on camera. In real life, I look forward to days when I'm just by myself, not disturbed. Like I'm a weirdo. And there's 3 introverts.
It's a true story too. Anytime I come over here, I don't expect to talk to you very much. I expect to sit on the couch, do my thing. We say 10 words, and then I go home. So
And it's not a problem.
yeah,
That's why we get along great. So we're all 3 over there, and Josh's wife agreed to a certain amount of time. And I'll be honest, like I think you left on the 24th or 3rd, and the hunting was just getting exponentially better every day. Like as far as the elk, we're talking more and more. And I know it had to kill you, but like Josh, before the season started, agreed to these dates. And I think you could have realistically stayed, but I don't know if the price would have been worth it when you got back home, because you needed to get back home. You said what you were going to say. Why did you leave early? I mean, like explain from a wisdom standpoint, you could have stayed and got in trouble and it wouldn't have been great.
yeah. I've gotten in trouble many times, but I think when it comes to elk hunting, you make a plan ahead of time. I mean, just like preparing for anything else, talk about it and have a plan and stick to it. It's just, it makes things so much smoother in the long run if you can trust the plans that are made, and that's just, it just creates for a good marriage.
Yeah.
And
Basically, he would have gotten in trouble. Like, would have been strife if he'd stuck it out for a few more days, even though the hunting was getting better and better. And he doesn't have like a 9 to 5, so like he could have stayed technically.
Right.
but that's a married man of 25 years wisdom, knowing like elk hunting's not worth my marriage. You know, not that it would cause it, but I'm just saying like going forward for 2025, you've made some changes. So what are you doing different this year? Or what did you communicate with your wife?
Well, this year it's a little different just because of kids' school. There's a little bit more up in the air. So, you know me, I play it by ear somewhat. And so we have to see how the kids are going to a school that's a private school, and daughter is going to be new to the school. And so things will be somewhat based off of that. And so I'm gonna elk hunting is definitely a priority, but the family is first.
Amen.
And depending on how things go, I expect things to go well, but you never know. Things could go bad, in which case I'll adjust my elk hunting to fit that. And I can, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I love that. That's an opportunity for people to hear that this guy is saying family is more important than elk hunting. And it pains me to think that for myself, but at the end of the day, the reality is I will not elk hunt if the family has some higher needs. The thing about your daughter's private school, which I love, by the way, is that it probably starts, I would assume, before Labor Day.
Yeah, I don't know the exact date, but it's the end of August sometime.
Which is great because my kids are going to be starting school this year, August, I think 27th, which they've never done before. And I was like, my wife and I were talking last night, in fact, and I was like, I think I like that. Like by the time August 27th rolls around, our kids are pretty much turds. They've had plenty of sun in summer, and they need to get back to a regiment, and they'll get out of school earlier. They get a little bit bigger break and winter break. Like, let's just get them back in. And then that'll allow your daughter probably a week or two to like you to assess how's she fitting in, how's she adjusting, what's the logistics. She's not 16. Will she be 16?
No.
Okay. All that kind of stuff. This is at the same school as your son?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you'll figure it out, but at least gives you a buffer of a couple weeks to like.
I'll have an idea on how things are going and what if the plan needs to change or adjust. I'll have a plan ahead of time.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be a plan B if that plan doesn't work the way I hope.
And nobody talks about this on their elk hunting podcasts. We do.
Yeah.
Because this is like the prioritization is faith, family, fitness. And then for me, it's elk hunting. I don't know. Some people's career, and I get that. And then mine's career. What's your priorities?
I think faith and family are obviously at the top for me. And then fitness, I've just made something that is a non-negotiable. So it's less of a hobby and more of just I have to do it every day.
Okay.
One for my head. If I don't work out, I just doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
And then being new into elk hunting, like it's that big shiny object right now. So I definitely spend a lot of time kind of fixated on it with the archery stuff. But it will never step in front of faith and family.
I love it. The fitness side of stuff, you got your background. Like, did I hear you say you like were wanting to be a physical therapist?
Yep. So that's what I initially went to school for, was pre-med for physical therapy.
Yeah.
And then my junior year, I changed my concentration to human performance exercise kinesiology.
What school?
University of Tampa in Florida.
Got it.
Yep.
You grew up in Florida?
Nope. Born and raised in Colorado.
So you just college, Florida.
Went to college in Florida, got a scholarship to play lacrosse there.
Oh, really?
Yep. So we won Division II national championships in 2022. Incredible experience. Unfortunately, a bum knee kept me out of that, but I found
What kind of bum knee?
I've had 2 ACL replacements, and right now my left one just doesn't have an ACL.
Okay, so both replacements in the right?
Both replacements in the left. Yep.
Okay, so the left, you got an ACL. Was that first one from a cadaver or from a graft?
Hamstring graft first time, patella graft the second time.
All right. Are you going to try a third?
Eventually, yeah.
Will you go cadaver on this one?
Either cadaver or possibly right patella tendon. It's just the strongest.
Why do you hate your patella tendons, man?
It's the strongest one.
So obviously my ACL tore it. I think I knew you when I tore it, Josh.
I think so.
Were we friends in 2009? I owned 2 CrossFit gyms.
No,
in 2009.
I came 2 years later.
Okay, so in 2009 I owned 2 CrossFit gyms because 2 was better than 1.
Mm-hmm.
Not true. Anyways, one was profitable, the other one bled, and I was competing to go to the CrossFit Games, and the Cliff Notes version is I tore it on a workout, like the last workout of the weekend.
Box jumps, right?
Yeah, repeat box jumps, which I don't think I've done a repeat box jump or will ever do one again. It's not worth it because my Achilles will go next. You know what I mean? Knock on wood. So tore it, scheduled surgery, met with the surgeon, said, hey, this was like, I think it was April or May. I was like, hey, I don't really want knee surgery until after elk season. He's like, October 1st it is. And he was an elk hunter. So I started rehabbing on my own. By the time that hunting season went through, I called him up. It's like, cancel the surgery. I'm PRing workouts. I feel better than ever. And then I would say for the next 15 years, I definitely knew I didn't have an ACL when I would step in a hole. And I'd hyperextend and not have breaks.
Yep.
And I'd feel my tib and my femur slam together.
Yep.
And then they slammed together really bad on a accident this last November to create the most bone bruising this surgeon of 40 years had ever seen on MRI. He's like, it felt so good for him to say, because my wife was there. He's like, you are like a tough son of a gun. I can't believe you're walking. Like, this is the worst bone bruise I've ever seen. You have it from here to there. You must have been in a lot of pain. And I was just like, look at my wife. I was like, see, I wasn't messing around. Like, I was really hurt. I was like, all right, doc, I'm ready for surgery. Let's do it. And he basically in 2009 wanted to pull from the patella tendon, but he told me I would have tendonitis for life. Like, guaranteed arthritis, guaranteed, like, because of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So this go around, he was like, no, we're going to use a cadaver and I'll be able to pick out like a thick one. So that's what we did. What's your advice for me? I'm at February, March, April, May. I'm on month 6, just starting month 6 of post ACL.
I've been following your journey a little bit. I'd say you're ahead of schedule for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you're jogging ahead of most people.
Right.
I think that attributes to 1, your work ethic, and 2, probably how in shape you were before going into surgery.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest factors.
Yeah.
Is your range of motion and strength before surgery. So I think probably having those 15 years of staying strong before and letting your knee function without that ACL gave you a huge advantage going into your surgery.
Well, man, I feel good until I go to my PT, and he just kind of like always finds a way to basically make me feel like, oh man, I'm not doing enough.
How's BFR?
I haven't done much in like months, to be honest with you. But you should tell everybody what that is and kind of the benefits. Do you still do it?
I still do it regularly.
Okay, yeah, tell everybody about it.
So BFR is blood flow restriction training.
Which sucks.
It sucks. Basically, they put a pressure cuff on your leg and restricts your oxygen to that muscle to like 20%. And what it does, it allows to load the muscle without loading the joint. So you can do a body weight squat with BFR on it. It feels like 225 pounds. And that muscle is working simply that hard, but you're not loading the joint with a bunch of weight. So it's super beneficial for hypertrophy, blood flow, healing.
How many sets do you usually do?
Usually the prescribed is like 30, 15, 15, 15. So 4 sets.
You hear that, Ben Mardell, my physical therapist, who was having me do 5 sets of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. By the time that 5th set rolled around, I thought like my leg was going to break.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of pain. It's so much discomfort. Yeah, in fact, I recommend it for everybody just because you should shake hands with the devil. That's what it is.
We do, at our gym, we have a test called BFR Everest.
Oh, let's hear it.
15 minutes on the bike erg at both legs, 80% occlusion. See how far you get.
Stupid. Are you serious?
It's fantastic.
I'm out. I'm not that tough. Yeah, and I guess it does like trick your body into like almost like an injury response on the spot, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly what signals go on there. I'm out of college a long time ago, man. But like something biochemically happens because of this is what they think.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so that, and then I've also really just like getting range of motion on flexion has been Like at first I couldn't get extension, right? Then I finally got it.
Good.
And then it was like, and it's still pretty obvious, like, oh shit, that's
looking good.
That's way better than it was.
You got a VMO.
Like I didn't have one.
Yeah.
In just 4 weeks, I lost a VMO completely. Couldn't get extension. Now I got extension, hyperextension, but flexion. There's some gunk in here, some scar tissue or something where I'm about 3 inches differential between healthy and bad, not as good knee.
Yeah.
And it's just, it goes away after I really, really warm up. And then it comes right back when I cool down. And obviously age has something to do with it. I'm not a spring chicken, but do you think you're going to get your knee repaired like pretty soon, or are you just going to like try to test the waters for a while?
For me, it doesn't bother me 99% of the time. Sometimes it'll catch, my meniscus will catch a little bit, or I'll feel a little shift. I chase kids around all day for my training. And
change of direction is something that you teach, and you have turf.
Yep.
And change of direction is something that an ACL is pretty handy for.
Usually, yeah. Usually.
So my crystal ball is if you're 24 and you've had 2 failed knee surgeries, if you have good health insurance, I think you should do it. I think you should get it grafted. I think you should get like shop grafts. Like, I'll hire you, ortho, but I get to shop the cadaver store with you.
Yeah.
And let's find the thickest, beefiest, or let's just use the ACL out of the elk I'm going to kill this fall.
There you go. That's probably the toughest thing you'll ever get.
Yeah, but I don't see how you could do a 5'10", 5. I mean, I was doing them. I was teaching speed and agility.
Sure.
Especially with pre-C speed school without an ACL. And I could get away with it, but like jumping on trampoline eventually got me.
Yep.
Stepping in a hole when elk hunting in the dark without like I can feel those things slap together. Yeah, I could see wanting to get that sorted out properly.
Yeah, I do definitely. Just got to find the time and the right timing. And like you said, if health insurance, deductible, all that kind of jazz. So
try no health insurance.
Yeah,
that's a fun one.
I've looked into that route. But
I just what I did, and we may never financially recover. And my PT was out of pocket as well, like straight cash.
Yeah.
But that guy's worth every freaking penny.
Yeah.
Good thing is the school paid for my second one. So.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
Huh. I wonder why it failed.
So the first one was a contact injury. Someone fell into my knee.
Just the cute.
Yep. Second one probably wasn't ready to return to sport quite yet. We also had really bad turf at my university at the time.
I had a suspicion.
Yep. Cleat got caught, twisted bad. That one went. Third one was really good. Went to the Stedman Clinic in Vail, which is world renowned. My Dr. Vidal was incredible.
Wow.
Did a MRI at 7 months. ACL fully intact, fully healthy. Played my whole 5th year lacrosse season. Started to notice a little shifts. I'm like, it's kind of weird. But on the Lockman's test and everything, they said it looks good, feels good. Got an MRI when I got home, and the doctor goes, I don't know how to tell you this. Your body ate the graft. I've
heard of that.
Yep. Body ate the graft. There was no sign of a new tear, bone bruising, anything like that. Just up and left.
That is the reality of that being, I mean, that is the reality. Oh, that's sorry, man. That sucks to hear. One thing to consider about you not repairing it and being so active and elk hunting is that I was fortunate to where when he did get a chance to look at the meniscus, because guys, docs can't really see what's going on there with the MRI. He only had to shave a little because I watched the surgery. He filmed it.
Yeah.
They all do now, I guess. And I was shocked. I thought for sure I shredded this knee from being a psycho, elk hunting and training all the time. But I was fortunate. So that would be something to consider is like, okay, what's my meniscus going to look like in 20 years from now if I don't get this repaired? I'm kind of an anti-surgery dude, to be honest with you. So like I could go either way.
Yeah.
I just hope you don't do another one and your body eats it again. Because that was just like, it's just a waste of resources and time. And it's really like at your age, it's easy to get back. But like, honestly, it's just going to be a longer road for me to get. I'm already getting weaker every year than I was.
Right.
Have you experienced that yet?
Yeah.
How old are you?
47.
I love asking you. I always ask them even though I know the answer. This makes me feel so much. But like seriously, like I was at the gym. I might have still owned the gym when I think you finally crushed. Was it 405?
405, yeah.
405 back squat at a body weight of 150 something.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was impressive. Wow. And he just cycled up to it. And Josh has always had a good barbell back squat. Like just, you know how some people, it just looks painful for them to squat.
Mm-hmm.
They need like modifications. They don't have ankle mobility or they have long femurs and a short torso or they got a low bar. Josh has just got a good build for back squat. He's got a good, clean back squat. And typically when you have someone who with a good back squat, they're always not like, they're not necessarily the best pullers. So maybe he sucks at pulling, cleaning, deadlifting. So you're a squatter. I would say you're through and through a squatter. But 405 was impressive. You know what I mean? That's fun. 4 plates on each side. You kind of look like a boss.
Yeah.
How old were you when you did that? Ish.
I think I was. Good question. 35.
Yeah, mid 30s is like kind of pinnacle for me. Like I bet I hit my last good lifts were 34 to 35. Like in competition, I clean and jerked 285. I could always clean 300, but I couldn't jerk it. But I got 285. I snatched 225. This was only in competition. I've deadlifted 475. My best back squat is 385. I never did good 405, so I do hate you for that. None of those things I just said are even remotely possible for me right now. Like I literally thought the other day I was writing a program for myself, and I was like, I think 135 front squat would be appropriate for this. It was high volume. Maybe 185. I used 95 pounds. I did. I tried. I got a ways to go, man. What are some of your best lifts right now?
My best lift currently is my deadlift. Because I do so many cleans and stuff like that, that's just my wheelhouse. So deadlift 435. I never really max out anymore. It's just not something that I need to do.
Yeah.
My squat, I PR'd this past spring at 365 post ACL, no ACL.
That's awesome.
So super happy with that. It took me 2 ACLs to learn how to squat properly.
Sure.
And now my depth is, butt to the ground, great full range of motion. So my physical therapist is real proud of that one.
You know what's funny is a bunch of fitness elk hunters in the room, not one person mentioned their bench. Could care less about bench. Now, circle back to 1998 to 2000 when I'm in high school. I cared about bench.
Yep.
I probably benched more then than I do now. Like I don't remember last. We bench on ElkShape Training, but it's usually dumbbell or high volume or weight vest push-ups or high rep barbell. It's never like load 2 plates and bolster your ego or 3 plates for some people. Could care less about what your bench is. Bench has never translated to more elk on the ground.
Nope.
I'll do it because I think it's a great movement. Push, pull, hinge, squat. I get it. But if you're into bench pressing, you're probably not going to want to follow ElkShape Training, which leads me to your new role with ElkShape Training. We hired you to take over the programming duties from me.
Yes, sir.
Now, that is something that I never thought I would say because I love programming. I still to this day love programming. But I ran out of time and something had to give. And so we searched long and hard, high and low. And Josh actually found you. Then we did one interview, and that's all she wrote.
Now we're here.
Now you're here. So your background, dive a little deeper. You did human performance, and then what are you currently doing? What's your 9 to 5?
So my 9 to 5, I work as a sports performance manager at a gym in Longmont.
What's the name of the gym?
NoCo Performance, Northern Colorado Performance.
NoCo?
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
Good branding. Who came up with that?
Johnny Baisley.
Good job, buddy. I love that's good branding.
Yep, he does a great job.
NoCo.
And my role specifically is to work with our youth athletes. So we actually have classes from ages 4 all the way through college classes. And it looks a little different for everybody, but I write the sports performance training for them and then run all those classes. We also have functional fitness for adults. Same thing. We have ages from college grads up to 75-year-old women that are getting after it every day in the gym.
That's awesome.
I think the best thing about our gym is our fitness programming is really good. But the community that we have is incredible. People come for the community, they stay for the workout.
And that's what I want to do with ElkShape Training. Is Josh and I are racking our brains on how can we build more community with guys who have limited capacity. Josh has other things going on besides ElkShape Training, and as do I, and so do you. But if all three of us chip in together, I feel like we can dedicate more time to our community.
Yeah, I think so.
And I haven't been on the app in quite a while as far as the community part. If people are posting, commenting, like writing down, did the workout suck? What did you learn about yourself in that workout? But your programming has started or is about to start?
I just finished writing the July and August programming.
So it's coming right up.
Yep, coming right up.
Give those, because we're going to get this pod out right away. Give those who are like maybe being honest with themselves and they're like, okay, it's June. I'm going to get to some workouts because I know elk season's around the corner. What could they look forward to possibly experiencing if they tried ElkShape Training for a couple months, July 1st going on?
I think you're going to learn, one, a lot about yourself, mentally and physically, your capabilities, and where your limits are, mostly mentally, on how far you can push yourself. The training is nothing new compared if you've been doing the ElkShape Training in the past. I wanted to keep it similar so I wasn't throwing a wrench in the game plan 2 months before peak season.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're testing you. You're trying to reach peak performance September 1st and then carry it on for a month. And I think that's something that gets overlooked is people are like, all right, I got to be ready September 1. Yeah, you got to be ready 1, 2, 3, all the way through September 30th. I also incorporated some partner workouts because partner workouts are far better. I think if you have someone that can get in the trenches and grind with you, you'll push each other way harder than you'll ever push yourself alone in the gym in the morning.
Did you offer a solo option?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to talk to those that are like me and like don't really have a training partner. Anytime I work out with anyone on an actual partner workout, I'll get a 10x better effort or output because 100%. I will never let you down, Sage. If you're my partner, I will never allow myself to be your weak link. I will die before I cost you whatever time on the or score on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And that's human nature. Men and women will die for points.
Yep.
The founder of CrossFit figured that out early on. I'll give him some credit, and that is he figured out that people will kill themselves for a stupid name on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And the stakes are higher when you have a partner and someone's counting on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when there's no spotlight on you, and it doesn't matter if you rest a little, no one's watching, it doesn't affect anyone else, you might coast. You won't coast with a partner. So guys listening that are like me and train solo, why don't you go find somebody and be like, hey man, I'm paying for this. You don't need to. I'll provide the workouts. Come over to my house. Let's meet at this time. Or your hunting partner.
Yeah.
This would be a great litmus test to see if this is really a good hunting partner that's willing to sacrifice. Nothing's worse than going hunting with someone who doesn't try as hard as you. They suck at their gear. They don't want to go as far. They're willing to talk you out of making a move, making a play. If they do kill, they won't stick around to make sure that you get yours. They'll be like, okay, cool. Well, have good luck to you. I got mine and I'm out. Like elk hunting can expose somebody's true character flaws.
Sure.
Let's experience those before we go to the field with them. Let's go in the gym. The Windler that we just did, and we're wrapping up. We've never done Windler at ElkShape Training. What has been the vibe, Josh, from the community of the classic 5-3-1 periodization guaranteed? A lot of these athletes have never done this, so they're probably getting way stronger. And it works really good the first time.
Yeah.
It probably won't work as good for someone doing a Windler and next year. But my God, anyone who's new to Windler and is doing this 8-week wave, they're probably pretty pumped about their PRs right now.
Yeah, everyone's been really positive about it, including myself. I mean, I haven't lifted as heavy as the programming has had on there, especially when it calculates your PR already. Especially it takes your, like if you do a 5 rep of 225 of whatever movement, it'll estimate your PR. So even if you haven't done a 1 rep, it'll estimate it. And so it puts the weights suggests the weights that you should do for the 5-3-1. And so it's pretty good. I've lifted heavier on this programming than I have in a long time, which is pretty cool, especially getting older. It's nice to see some of those numbers again.
It's a perfect time of year to just compound the soft tissue density, muscle density that you're going to lean on. But I wanted to steer the conversation back to you, Sage, when it comes to needs analysis. Like anyone can write workouts that, are hard.
Mm-hmm.
A monkey could do it. AI could do it. The art of programming is understanding the needs analysis of somebody who really wants to be able to hunt their best come fall. What are those for our audience?
I think the best way to approach it is kind of backwards planning, right? So you have to look at what are the demands of an elk hunter and then work backwards into the gym and figure out, okay, how can I replicate the stresses of the mountain here to a degree? I don't think you can ever quite match it. However, you need to have a lot of cardiovascular capability. So when that hike is 2,000 feet elevation gain, you got to get up there in an hour. You got to be able to do that without stopping. A lot of hip flexion.
Why would people stop?
Because they're too tired.
What's happening physiologically?
Physiologically, their heart is beating at a rate and their mind is telling them, you have to stop or I'm going to make you stop. So you start getting into that 190 heart rate zone. You're in zone 5 for 30, 40 minutes. Your mind's going to tell you, you can't do this anymore.
This is not sustainable, sir. Yep. Would you please stop?
Yep.
What's happening at the muscles? What's going on with like lactate buildup at that high of a heart rate and threshold?
Lactate's building up. Your muscles stop using the ATP, the free ATP, as much, so they're not contracting as efficiently. And therefore, you're not getting the energy out that you feel like you're putting in. You're not getting that same boost off the ground, stepping up over logs, or a box jump in the gym. So you're simply just not being able to put out the output that you're trying to pull. Even if your mind, you're telling yourself, I got more, your body will, at a point,
your body might disagree, especially as the acidity builds up inside the cells of these muscles.
Yep.
Acidity kind of inhibits enzymes and all sorts of biochemistry that basically you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt. It's going to burn.
Mm-hmm.
You'll need to take more breaks, which isn't necessarily the worst thing. But what I'm always concerned when it comes to needs analysis or demands of an elk hunter is even myself, I'm humping a mountain. It's steep. I have weight on my back. The bull is bugling, and I get to where I need to get, and I can tell a shot opportunity is about to develop. And a quick little, my pulse is 180 plus right now. How many times have I shot my bow with a heart rate of 180 plus with that much lactic acid trying to be flushed through the system with lungs and diaphragm contracting, relaxing?
And a 60-pound pack.
Oh, yeah, and that. Have I done that? No, I haven't, but I'll rise to this level I've never prepared for. Said nobody, ever. You have to make training shittier than hunting, which can be very hard to do, which is why we hired you to make training shitty again. That's my new hat.
All right.
And what it does is it makes hunting better again.
Yeah.
To be exposed and to figure out what your weaknesses are. So if I'm going to finish this pod, I'm going to finish by some self-reflection. Josh, what are your most glaring weaknesses as it pertains to your fitness, your mental game, and elk hunting?
To be perfectly honest,
I would hope so.
Yeah. Just having the consistency at doing the conditioning. Strength is never a problem.
You enjoy it.
I enjoy it. Being super
Are
consistent.
you good at it? Is that why you enjoy it?
Oh, probably. I think that's...
I would suspect you like moving large loads.
I like to squat. Yeah, because I'm good at it.
Yep.
Conditioning, that's the glaring weakness. Being consistent at it. Yeah, I'll do it. That's where I really need to focus. And even, the trick that I've learned is even if you're trying to talk yourself out of it, just do one round. Do the lightest version. A lot of times that turns into 2 or 3 rounds, maybe going a little heavier, but at least that consistency gets there. So
Same question for you, Sage.
I think for me, I can go fast and hard and then recover and rest. I need to spend more time in the aerobic zone and just build that base. So when you're just, maybe not a steep hike, but when you're just cruising through miles, I need more time in that aerobic zone. When it's crunch time, I can go and I've got the energy for it. But I just need that longevity piece. That's the weakest part of my training.
I got you. Yeah. That's interesting. Completely different, but the same. You got the intervals on lock, you have that power output, but that sustained effort is kind of what hunting is at times, but it's not always. There are times when you got to burst.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't able to, it might cost you punching your tag.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And when you punch a tag, you still got to be able to go, like you said, sustainable at a pace. But that pace is different when it's 60 to 80 pounds of elk flesh, plus your gear on your back, and you're looking for the next downfall to just sit and rest your hips because you haven't loaded that before.
Mm-hmm.
And what if it's not your elk and you have 5 more days left, but you're going to smoke your body helping your buddy get his bull out? You're going to be back at camp nursing your injuries and drinking a cold one. And then a week later, you're going to be wishing you hadn't done that, but you'll never get it back. So yeah, my biggest concerns for myself leading up to this season right now is obviously the knee thing. I'm trying to not do anything particularly stupid, and I'm always analyzing risk versus benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I was built for sustained efforts at moderate paces. If you look at these legs, they were built for just long distance running. Like that's what I should have been, but I refuse. And so my weaknesses are the power output, are the energy system or I should say zone 4, 5.
Yep.
Not very happy there. The energy systems 1 and 2, definitely the sub 2 minute efforts, the bursts. I need to work on those if I want to be able to utilize those and reach in my back pocket to go punch a tag. I gotta work on that. So I think we're all different. We're all built different. But if we spend more of our time working on our weaknesses versus our strengths, I think we'll be better elk hunters.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Now, we're gonna go film some stuff today, mainly for the app so that people can visually see the movements. Have a couple of like breakout sessions going over which part of our program, the seasonality. This is not just a pre-elk season program. This is a year round.
Yep.
I will say it's a lot easier to stay into ElkShape than it is to go out and get back into ElkShape.
Yeah.
But that's actually a lie. It is very hard to stay into ElkShape because we are lazy humans with a refrigerator 10 yards away, internet, screen or computer. This is really what this is. Computer, car. We don't move.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to be soft in this world.
Yeah.
So I think it is actually harder to stay into ElkShape because we just have so much conveniences. So I would love people to stay into ElkShape after this year. But if you need to get into ElkShape, please utilize us as a resource. We're not a marketing company. I don't want to sound rude, but like we don't sit around and be like, what reel can we make to get people to click this to come? We're shitty at marketing, but our program's freaking awesome and gets results. And we're not like somebody who's just like a fitness figure who likes to hunt. I am an elk hunter through and through. My resume is 99.9% public land bulls year over year, and I had a learning curve. And so I've been there, done that, all the states hunting elk, and it boils down to one thing. Are you okay with working hard? Because elk hunting is nothing more than consistent hard work day in and day out to get one shot opportunity. And I hope you make the most of it. So if you suck at running or long, slow distance conditioning, monostructural pieces are your friend. If you're really good at that stuff and you enjoy it, but you're weak link, you couldn't squat your body weight or you couldn't squat your way out of a wet paper bag, you need an abundance of strength. maybe you have the strength, you have the conditioning, but you haven't integrated the shooting under duress. That's that high heart rate, that bull standing right there. And your pin is literally going from here to there, and you need to get that arrow gone. You need to, everyone's got their own weaknesses, right?
Yep.
We as elk hunters, we got to like try to mitigate them all and try to be the most well-rounded general physical preparedness. That's what this program's built for. When we're done filming all that today, we'll probably need to do some marketing pieces to try to get people to come over. But like, there's a lot of options out there when it comes to online training programs. And now there's a lot for hunters. I honestly don't care if you don't use us. Like, I want you to find what you enjoy, but like what gets you results. And if it's somebody else's program, dude, that is freaking awesome. But if you're not happy with somebody else's program, or you feel like your resource is like they're they're book smart, but they actually don't live it, I can say that out of all of them, we live it. Like, we're truly just concerned about elk hunting, which is super important. And the last thing I want to say about our program is that we have some prepackaged stuff out there, and we're constantly adding more, like PDFs for this 30-day dumbbell, or I want a 30-day sandbag, or I want to try Dan's 21 days to ElkShape. Though you get all those programs, but the bread and butter is the fact that you don't know what the next workout's going to be tomorrow. We don't release it ahead of time. It drops every day. I love that. And you can't look too far ahead, and you can only focus on today. Now, we're looking down the road. The program's been written, but we don't just like, oh, do this or do that, or leave it up to you to pick around. Like, I really think you should follow our daily programming. It's the bread and butter of ElkShape Training.
Yeah, and everyone else is doing the same workout. All the other elk hunters that belong as members are doing the same thing, and so you have other people to bounce ideas off of and talk to about what they're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Sage, I guess we're going to do all this filming stuff, but for you, we talked a lot about elk hunting in the beginning. As far as your training goes, I think you're obviously going to be a great fit for us. What would you like to say to the community that doesn't know you yet? Like, what's your thoughts for them? Maybe more philosophical, but like, what's your why behind joining the ElkShape Training Squad?
I think it's really joining a group of individuals that all have a common goal and a like-minded mentality. I think you are, for the most part, who you surround yourself with. And if you're not surrounding yourself with people that think like you, work as hard as you, you start to deteriorate in that way. So joining this community made a lot of sense for me, because I looked at what Dan and Josh are doing, and I was like, that fits who I want to be. That fits what I've been about. And if there is, people like that nationwide doing this program, I wanted to be a part of it. So that's why I reached out, and, things aligned, and I'm just very excited to be a part of it and help everyone get to that goal.
2.5 months till elk season. Lock in, friends. Separation will be through your preparation. We'll catch you on the next one.